Welcome to Imaginative Discipleship. I'm your host, Caleb Woodbridge. I've just had a few teething tech tangles on this first episode, so the video and audio quality isn't quite what I was hoping it would be, but I'm sure you'll still enjoy the discussion. Just please bear with me, and subsequent episodes will be a bit better. Thanks very much. Welcome to the Imaginative Discipleship podcast. I'm Caleb Woodbridge, and I'm really excited to start chatting about the intersection of faith and imagination. And I'm really pleased to be joined by my friend Rachel. Hi, Rachel.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. And yeah, I'm Rachel Redeemed from London. I wear many hats, and this evening, I am very excited to be chatting about imaginative discipleship, but I can't not begin by asking you to define your terms, sir.
Yes, well, it does somewhat beg the question of what is imaginative discipleship. So, yeah, very fair question. Yeah, so let's take it apart: imagination, discipleship, and then why put the two together. So, imagination. Well, it seems to me that imagination is something we often take for granted. It's something we perhaps think is the realm of artists and writers and creative types, and we forget that we're all using the imagination all the time, because the imagination is that part of our thinking that lets us image things in our minds to not just visually, but also other senses, to recall things, to mix and match and transform things so that you can come up with things that don't exist or don't exist yet. And so it's a really amazing thing that we're doing all the time to understand things and to remember things and to explore new possibilities.
Yeah, I'm in for that. I'd love to hear. I mean, I'm imagining if people are tuning in, they have an understanding of what discipleship is. But in case we are not there, could you get us on the same page with discipleship? And I mean, there's a whole series to come. We're going to be unpacking what it means. But if you could give us a start of 10 on how those two things go together. I've
already recorded an episode spending an hour going into far more depth on that question with Ted Turnow, who's thought about this really deeply. So that's just like a sort of starter for 10. Come back for that discussion. I'm really excited to share that. But yeah, discipleship too, another big thing. So I'm talking about Christian discipleship, following Jesus, and I'm assuming that most of the people who would be attracted to listening to a podcast about imaginative discipleship are likely to be Christians themselves. If you're not, if you're Christian curious and listening in, you're very welcome, and I hope you get something out of it. But yeah, I think as a Christian, I believe that Jesus is God who really came in history as a human being to make God known, to speak to us, to reveal himself to us, and to save us from our sins, to give us a new way of living, to bring us into relationship with the God who made us. And that's where we find real meaning and purpose and identity. So there's a whole incredible story of salvation that is both myth and history. It's fact and meaning united. It's satisfying both to the reason and to the imagination. Obviously, those are big claims. If you're not a Christian, you might not be fully on board on that, and that's perhaps something we can do something about, exploring how we know all that, what the grounds for that are. But I'm going to sort of ask you to suspend your disbelief if you're not already on board with that. But I think following Jesus, he's he's the one we're excited about as Christians. It's not just something that's true, but also there is a real beauty in Jesus and in following him. And I think part of the reason that the imagination is important for Christian discipleship is that it helps us pursue the goodness and beauty of Jesus and of following him, as well as the sort of truth claim that is there. So we need goodness, beauty, and truth all bound up together in order to have a faith that is meaningful and that speaks to our full humanity. So yes, that's why I think imagination is important to discipleship. Why thinking about imagination and discipleship can deepen what it means to follow Jesus and to become more like him, and can help us on that journey. So yeah, lots more to unpack, but that's hopefully a good starting point.
Yeah, I love that. Goodness, beauty, and truth. I feel like those are three things when tied together, you end up with something quite exciting. But take me back to why this. I love an origin story, but tell me both why imaginative discipleship and why now?
Yeah. So around a year ago, I realised I'd have a little bit more time for sort of side projects alongside what I do as a day job in Christian publishing. And so I was just thinking about what is it I should be doing. And it happens that a guy called Andrew Peterson, who's a singer-songwriter, an author, the founder of The Rabbit Room, which is a community around faith and creativity. He was doing a concert in Cardiff, and his music is really it speaks both to the sorrows of life and to Christian hope in the midst of life's both joy and darkness. And for me and my wife, we had it on an awful lot through the dark winter of lockdown. It really helped us through that time. So we're really excited to hear him live. Yeah, great. Do you have a favourite song, by the way, or favourite track?
I love The Burning Edge of Dawn. I was listening to it today. But yeah, always good. There's much appreciations, different ones for different seasons, I feel. So yes, his music is particularly resonant, as are his writings in this home. So much appreciation, and exciting how that started to kickstart things for you. Do go on.
Yeah, but as well as the concert, my pastor, Dave, hi Dave, if you're listening, he hosted an evening round at his house, which was a sort of evening and he invited round some of the creatively inclined people from the church to come and hang out with Andrew Peterson, and that was really cool. And we sort of peppered him with questions about faith and creativity, and that was really good fun just to sort of interact in that really friendly, low-key context. But coming back from that, I was really sort of fired up. I was looking back at a lot of the writing I've done for different blogs and publications. So the Fred's Evangelical Alliance Young Adults site, I've done some stuff on there, stuff on my own blog, and stuff for the Christian Research Journal and other places. And a lot of it had sort of been on the intersection of faith and story and imagination, as like thinking, imaginative discipleship. And so I decided to title newsletter I started a year ago, Bigger on the Inside, because stories like Doctor Who's TARDIS or like the Wardrobe to Narnia are bigger on the inside. People are bigger on the inside. The stories we believe in and are inspired by are sort of bigger on the inside in terms of meaning and stuff. But with that theme of imaginative discipleship running through, and as I've gone on, I've wanted to sort of press into that particular thing a bit more and sort of start having some conversations to unpack that. So it was really nice because I was able to do a seminar at Hutch Moot UK where Andrew Peterson was speaking in Oxford this summer. Hutch Moot this side of the Atlantic. There's an American one happening round about now, but it was nice because that sort of felt like having received some enrichment and inspiration from him and from that community to sort of be bringing something back into that context. But if you're a rabbit, if you're a fan of Andrew Peterson and Hutch Moot and all of that stuff, Rachel and I, we're both involved a bit on the online UK Moot Community. So hopefully some of you are listening in. Hello to you, but hopefully it'll be of wider interest as well to all sorts of Christians, whether just everyday Christians or church leaders or two Christian creative types. But as I was suggesting earlier, imagination is for everyone. It's not just for those of us who think of ourselves as creative. So if you don't feel you've got a creative bone in your body, hopefully I can convince you otherwise, even if you're not going to launch a career as an artist.
You had a really good thing on that. There was something to do with metaphors, and I think you used the example, argument is war. Mm-hmm. And if you switch that for dance, your brain does something different. Yeah. Can you riff off that for me?
Oh yeah. So there's a book, Metaphors We Live By, and one of the arguments the authors make is just around how much the way we think and live and act is shaped by the metaphors that we use. Argument is war is one of the examples, because it means that you can go on the attack or the defense. You can you can win or lose an argument, if you swap out that metaphor for something different, such as a dance or a quest or something else, then that suggests very different ways of approaching it, which might not be so zero sum, one side versus another, but might be more collaborative in direction. And I think I enjoy a good debate, but that's not necessarily that's not always the best tool for approaching that. And so I think having being able to refresh the way we think about things, to reimagine how we do stuff, having fresh metaphors can really help us to find new ways of approaching things that can be enriching. Can you think of any other examples?
I think, well, my reason for kind of latching onto that one was because I think it changes how we think about something, which, if we're struggling to bring imagination and our words together, with that one as a lived example, you kind of feel it, as opposed to it's just a concept that's logically out there. You're like, oh, I know, if argument becomes a quest or if it becomes a dance, it takes on a whole nother meaning, which allows for a bit more scope, and it kind of takes a little bit it takes us back a little bit to then have another look at something. And I think that's what I've been really interested in, with the kind of, a fresh look at something and looking at how we can see things from someone else's shoes, perhaps, with our imagination impacting our empathy.
Yeah, definitely.
But where for you did you kind of either first spot this in the Bible, or what are some of the verses that you've been going to that are kind of key for kind of coming at it from a biblical perspective?
Yeah, I think it's something that, as someone who's very into books and stories and literature, studied English literature university, I've always been interested in, and just thinking about how that interacts with my faith. So I guess some of the stuff that kind of planted seeds, I've got to credit Andrew Fellows, who was director of L'Abri Fellowship, who's now pastor, church writer, but is a really sharp thinker, and he did some fantastic talks on sort of sign, symbol, and spiritual reality, and on the relationship between reason and imagination, that sort of have laid some foundations, planted some seeds that have done there, got me onto people like Owen Barfield and some of his ideas about stuff, which that's a whole other can of worms. But if you've read Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, there's some really interesting connections there in terms of she's drawing on some of the same ideas in that. So hopefully I can do an episode on that sometime. I think
I'll have to come back for that one, because that one flew straight over my head. But I know there's a listener out there who is stoked that you just mentioned those people.
Yeah. And that's a little perhaps niche, but all three of us who got those references will be very excited.
Yes. I'm so pleased for you. I have your joy and zeal through you. Great. I think in terms of the Bible, because it's one of those things where the word imagination doesn't come up that much, and when it does, it's often quite negative, sort of warnings against vain imaginings and stuff, and sort of connecting it with idolatry and all of that bad stuff. But if you step back and sort of look, first of all, how imaginative the Bible is in terms of how it comes to us and how it engages us, how much of it's story, how much of it's poetry, sort of all the apocalyptic stuff like Revelation, which I love, all of the dragons and bowls and images and fire. Maybe we come back to that one.
Yeah.
My husband's memorizing it at the moment, and so I keep getting bits of it. And I was thinking about it in relation to your podcast, being like, "Oh my days, I'm feeling this." But I need to please continue, sir. I'm getting too excited.
Yeah. So one of the things that had a big impact on me was on the Christian Camp Contagious, was when we did the Book of Revelation. We had a dramatized reading of the whole thing on the first evening, sort of people on trumpets, sort of getting everyone to join in for the great multitudes, various different sort of sound effects and roles being played and stuff. It really brought it to life. And also the Bible, there's different things. We're created in the image of a creator God. There's various biblical affirmations of our the goodness of artistic endeavor, such as in the building of the temple and people being
Bezalel. Yes.
Bezalel and Oliab, Exodus 32 being given the Holy Spirit.
First person in the Bible.
Create.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's lots going on, and so I think the big Bible idea when that's central to understanding our humanity is that of the heart. And when you understand that the heart is fallen, but then it's the part of us that's redeemed, then that's really key, because it's the imagination reveals our hearts, which is why so often it's spoken of negatively, but also it's our hearts that are redeemed in Christ, and so our imaginations must be redeemed as well. And I think when the Bible talks about the eyes of the heart, for example, that connects really closely with the sort of biblical concept of that's the sort of Bible language, which I think corresponds to what we now call imagination, even though the terminology doesn't really quite map onto the Hebrew or Greek terms directly. So I think there's lots of exciting stuff going on there.
And what is currently shaping the way that you're engaging with scripture or prayer or generally churchy things, as to pull it into the rub of what does it look like for you? Where is this stuff kind of hitting for you at the moment?
So one of the things I'm using is Sophie Killingly's creative devotional, creative spiritual journal, Draw Near. So I'm finding that really fun to make use of. Something I've also, coming from a very low church, independent evangelical background, liturgy isn't really something that's been there in my background, often viewed with suspicion, sort of it's rather stiff and formal and not spontaneous and all of this kind of thing, often a bit too Catholic or viewed with suspicion. And there might be some validity to some concerns, but I think James K. Smith has written about you are what you love, and on the practices that shape our hearts, and how the heart is. Discipleship is a way to curate your heart, to be attentive to and intentional about what you love, is one of the things he says in You Are What You Love. Just how habit and repetition can help drill things down and help them sink into our imaginations on a deep level. Now, I think there's also an important part for the more spontaneous side, that sort of refreshing the familiar and sort of coming at it from a completely new and creative approach, so that it strikes you afresh. I think it is really helpful. And so I've actually been using the sort of Anglican daily prayer and praying some of the sort of more liturgical prayers, and using that in my quiet time, and really been finding that quite helpful and rich in terms of how much Bible there is in there, and how many prayers sort of drawn and based on the Bible, and finding that better than just the often quite repetitive stuff I might just rattle through myself. And also Every Moment Holy is by Douglas McIlvey from Rabbit Room Press, and other things sort of in the liturgical bent that I've found enriching as well. So I think those are some of the things that have been helping me recently.
Yes.
Volume. Nick.
Sorry, I was going to riff off that. If you were about to say what has been striking me, I can similarly say for volume 1 and 2 of Every Moment Holy, I've just joined the dots in this moment, that it's helped me step into the shoes of others in some of the liturgies for something that I haven't experienced, but don't really have the words for that, or when I have experienced something, particularly death, grief and hope, if I've not butchered the title, to put that into my own heart, and for my own heart to start to imagine and take hold of some of those words. It's the metaphor thing. It's having the imagination, and words is changing how I'm thinking about the situation before me. That's been doing my heart good. I think also, again, I've been pondering this for some time, as I had the privilege of going to your lecture on this at the Hutch Moot as well. So the kind of outworking of a crazy year and a great spiritual pit stop of a MOT, as it were, on an Oak Hall holiday in Italy, of all places. We did Revelation, and we did the letters to the churches. That was fantastic. And so for John, my husband, and I, we really felt challenged on that. And John was very motivated to memorize Revelation. And so we've been dwelling in that bit when it describes Jesus, and it's just epic. And we just don't give time or space to these bits of the Bible, often perhaps in our tradition, maybe. And for John to be reading that, we've kind of looked at it together, and to have him just say it without reading it has been heart-grippingly transformative. And that bit where it describes it, and it's all crazy amazing, and then you get the tenderness of this amazing person who's just been described, who reaches down and reaches out to John, who's lying face down, kind of, freaked out, the whole thing. So that's kind of the juxtaposition of the two, and then being able to kind of put myself in that situation, to step into that kind of story, to know that Jesus has that kind of love and tenderness to me, but he is that amazing. Thinking gentle and lowly, for those who have appreciated that from Dane Ortland. I, through a lot of sadness over the year, have listened to that probably in the region of 10 times, but I have fallen asleep through much of it, because I did get through it, obviously awake at some point, but then used it as a sleeping aid. So to hear the heart of Jesus for me, and to really try and take hold of that, has been really, really, really transformative to living in that. Not kind of being twee with it, and not being kind of airy fairy, but knowing that Jesus' heart is for me, and there is beauty that we can. There we go. That's your 3 strands from earlier. Beauty, truth, and goodness. I feel I've experienced those in more of a intense way. And just literally, was it yesterday? I finished listening through the Bible in just over a month. And
wow.
Again, I'd heard about this. Someone did it on the internet, and I was like, I should give that a go. A couple of years ago, did it again.
Is that like 70 hours or so?
Something. I did it ×2 speed with my friend. Can highly recommend. Especially, I have so much respect for anyone who can get through the Bible in a year. That's amazing. I have so much respect. So it's just different personality types. So
who did you listen to? Which recording?
A bit of a mix. It was the NLT and on the Bible app YouVersion as a plan. And I then, when I was on the Underground, listened to the Amplified, which is a very different translation. But the mix was good. Would recommend the NLT if you're going to go for a listen through. I might try and gather some tips at some point. But allowing... Oh, hello. So sorry about that. Allowing different ways of my own thinking and my own approach shape how I engage with God's word has been formative for my own spiritual walk. And I want to keep going and keep thinking about how imagination is going to keep shaping that, and to keep growing in my faith, not just, no one wants to stagnate, but especially after the MOT in summer, you're like, no, this is important. This is more than just kind of a tick box on a Sunday, or kind of 5 minutes and getting out the door. This is really important, folks.
Yeah, I think such a key thing for our discipleship is having a right way of imagining God. So you're just saying about how, that vision from Revelation, and sort of listening to Dane Ortland's thing, and I guess it's like that question that sometimes ask if someone says they don't believe in God, what kind of God don't you believe in? Because that's quite useful to unpack what people have in mind. But I think, so often so many issues in the Christian life come out of having a distorted way of imagining God and having our imagination renewed so that it's deepened and brought more into 3D by bringing in more of the Bible and understanding that better to sort of fuel our imaginations. It means that we're not just sort of making up some idea of God, but it's actually bringing to life what he's revealed to us, and it's so much he's often so much better than the sort of Sunday school stained glass window type ideas that we might have of him. So from some of the stuff you've found helpful, how's that really impacted on the way you see God and see Jesus?
I think it's a challenge to keep an eye out for when it comes up. And just recently rewatching Thor: Love and Thunder and just kind of clocking how much of it's like good and bad at the same time, of showing, this is what people think I worship, or this is what people think about God. And also subtly, if I've just sat myself for 2 hours watching something that's telling me what gods are like, I will be shaped by that story. And so no spoilers, but it is about gods who are terrible and what they expect for people to do for them and all of this jazz. And it is both subtle and blatantly obvious where they're going with it. But it's interesting, they don't even go near Jesus, but they also kind of allude to God in the Yahweh sense. And the closest they got at one point was some thunder and lightning. I was like, well, I'll give them that. We've got some of that going on Sinai. So, but I think catching ourselves where even if I say to somebody, what do you think of as God? And then kind of what's the first thing that comes into your head? Is often, if I was to think about it from the perspective of a friend, it's actually often what I think God is like. So if I think of the grandfather figure, or if I think of the kind of grumpy schoolmaster, those are the things that actually, hang on, I need to reshape that in my imagination, pray and seek scripture and community to help let that be reformed. And so that was something I felt was really helpful for the Dane Ortland book, Gentle and Lowly. I felt that really stopped me from thinking kind of those stereotypes, those things that we think we don't think, but actually sneak in more than we think they do. What things do you think have shaped you for good or ill in this realm?
Yeah, I think there's certainly one of the things that shaped me a lot in the background is a kind of very Calvinist view of God. And I think I'd still consider myself a Calvinist in some senses, but I think there's certain forms of that where it ends up sounding like God is this black hole demanding worship and devotion to sort of so that he's glorified. And so it's all about glorifying him in a way that sort of makes him sound like he's this thing, and all of it doesn't matter how, all of the evil in the world doesn't really matter because it's glorifying God. And that can go in a really sort of dark direction. And I think just recovering the sense that God is self-giving love, that Father, Son, and Spirit are overflowing with love and goodness, and it's out of that overflow that God creates. So whatever we understand God's glory to mean, it's not some selfish grasping thing, but it's actually some overflowing, life-giving thing has really been important. And I think Mike Reeves' book, The Good God, on that was something that was really helpful, just in terms of getting that more Trinitarian understanding of the love between Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and how absolutely foundational that is for having a God who is self-giving rather than grasping. So
I think even in our practical kind of week in, week out things that we do that happen to kind of go along with being a Christian have a chance to be kind of dunked in the imaginative discipleship dye and kind of come out and see what sticks and see what we can take into the next week. And I think I've not for a while actually, but I've previously really valued using my imagination in sung worship when gathering together and singing, you know, in whatever way that looks, usually in my experience with some form of a band. That might not be for everyone listening, but allowing myself to position myself in different places in the story, whether that's one that we are hearing that Sunday, or whether often for me it would be putting myself at the foot of the cross, which is usually where I don't end up and where I need to be. But having that as a using my kind of mind's eye, the eyes of my heart, that has been really helpful in just helping me meet in that moment and not thinking, oh, so-and-so's singing lovely harmonies, or so-and-so, oh, I haven't seen them in ages, or like, oh, where's the service sheet? You know, it's easy to be so familiar with these things that we don't engage in the moment. Whether that in sung worship, or actually it was a seminar at Moot 2019 in the UK that really challenged me on what I think about when I pray. I'm sure I'll do a complete disservice to it, but something that I took away was about even visualizing meeting with Jesus to pray, and in a place and in a space that's physical, that you can kind of go there. And again, you don't want to run away with these things, but to add them into your life of your regular habits of worship, in the sense of what you do with your time and energy. Often, prayer can be a shopping list, but often if I incorporate that visual in, it slows me down. It makes me think more about what I'm saying, because if I'm imagining Jesus right there, then I'm going to really think about what I'm going to say to him, and allowing me to often receive some of the tenderness that is there, for example, having informed my logical brain with the gentle and lowly type material. Sorry to anyone who hasn't listened to that, I'm quoting it a lot, but it is that Jesus is for us and loves us deeply, and we think he's there with a clipboard, and actually he's there saying, I'm so excited for you, keep running, keep going, even though he's already won the race for us. So taking those aspects that are true, but painting them in with color in a way that when I sit and meet with God, in a way, Bible open, you know, with other people, in sung worship, in whatever way I'm doing it, if I'm on the tube with my eyes closed on the way into work, allowing those moments to be more informed by more than just what I think I should be doing, and allow a bit more space for what could be happening. I feel I've opened up the door to all sorts of things there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think, often Christians talk about having a personal relationship with Jesus, but it can feel like quite an abstraction rather than an actual lived experience. And I think another book that's helpful in that is Julian Hardiman's Jesus, Lover of My Soul. And he talks about, from the Song of Songs, how Jesus is the bridegroom, and he delights for his beloved to turn our face towards him. And I think it's easy to have not rationally, but sort of lurking in the back of our minds, this feeling of God with the clipboard, sort of taking the attendance register, and you didn't have your quiet time yesterday, rather than being delighted to see us and receive us, because we are adopted as children. He's the Father who delights in us. Jesus is the husband who loves his bride, and just all of these rich biblical images that speak to our imagination, that just help us to grasp something of God's love for us more deeply. So I think pushing into those, and like you say with songs as well, they can really help us put ourselves into the reality of things. Like Andrew Peterson's His Heart Beats is fantastic, because it's like just focusing in on that moment. There must have been that sort of before and after of Jesus coming back to life, where the body was cold in the grave, and then suddenly that heart starts beating again, and just thinking about the miracle of that and the physical reality of that, of what that actually means. And that is a staggering thing to have happened. And we can just get so blasé about these amazing claims, these amazing miracles, but to really stop and go, oh wow, that's the miracle at the heart of our faith, Jesus rising from the dead. And it helps us slow down. It helps us grasp those truths more deeply.
Hallelujah. I want to keep talking to you about this, which I think is a good sign. I want to ask you two questions, and then we must land. But what is one thing that you have been surprised by on this journey of investigating imaginative discipleship, if you can say you've investigated it? And what is one thing that you are looking forward to in the coming series?
I think I've been pleasantly surprised as to people aren't using the label necessarily, but I think there is a real hunger for this kind of stuff, for this sort of imaginative renewal. And you see that in some of the books, like Gentle and Lowly, and like other stuff that's going on. And there's people doing great things. I'm excited to talk to people who are exploring different aspects in more detail, like Mary McCampbell on empathy and imagination, which we've touched on but not had a chance to go into. So I think this is a fruitful lens, and the label is a useful one for sort of naming a trend that's already happening, that lots of people are already thinking about. And I think it's important in our cultural moment. I think it's realizing that perhaps some of our assumptions, our ways of imagining things, have grown a bit stale, and we need to go back to the Bible and back to sort of some of the riches of the Christian tradition to rediscover and refresh ourselves imaginatively, and also the challenges of bridging the gap to a more secular culture, one that's much less familiar with the Christian story. There's more of a gap of knowledge and understanding to cross, and so you have to really think hard about how to engage people's imaginations, just so they can begin to understand what Christians really believe, let alone have any consideration of whether it's true or relevant for them or not. So I think both for us within the church and for our outreach, just this imaginative renewal is really needed. But it's encouraging that lots of people are tackling that from different angles. Was there a second question? I'm sort of losing track.
I think, you've kind of touched on both. It was both what you were surprised by, if anything, and looking forward to. But I'm already looking forward to that empathy and
So yeah, looking forward to looking forward to that, because I'm not approaching this as an expert. I feel like I'm a rookie disciple and a rookie discipler. I mean, I try to be supporting the other Christians around me in my sort of church and sort of small group and so on. But I'm not doing this from a place of great expertise, or saying that this is some new technique that I've discovered that we should all be paying attention to these 10 steps to more imaginative discipleship. It's more sort of going, this is something I can see that people are doing. I want to learn how to do it better myself, and hopefully along the way have join in with an existing conversation, pull together some threads to just help surface these questions, so that we think more deeply about something that the church has always been wrestling with, Christians have always been wrestling with, but we perhaps haven't quite had this language to sort of focus us in on this angle on it.
Cracking. Where can we hear more from you?
You can find the podcast at imaginativediscipleship.com. You can subscribe on iTunes and Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I'm also posting the videos on YouTube if you prefer to watch things, see some faces, try and work out what's on my bookshelf behind me.
Or enjoy the fact that if anyone is watching, I'm currently down as John Redeemed instead of Rachel Redeemed, which I've enjoyed greatly.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll translate out once it's all been edited, yes. But we'll see. Yes. But yeah, I think all of this will be going out as well on the Bigger on the Inside newsletter, and I'm going to be continuing to write articles as well as doing podcasts. So if you want to get that as well, indeed, if you like what I'm doing and want to become a supporter and take out a paid subscription, that's very welcome. But yes, it's all free to access. There might be a few occasional extras for supporters, but join in. Let me know what you think. Leave a review or comment, or engage on Twitter. I'm at Caleb Bridge on there, and there's also imaginative discipleship profiles that I've just been setting up for updates on this specifically. So yes, find me wherever you like to do stuff online. I'm trying to get it all out there as widely as possible. So yes.
Wonderful. And I'm imagining the show notes will be stuffed full of some goodies that we've talked about, or the description wherever you're accessing this from.
Yeah. So yes, and hopefully it can help flag up some good resources, both ones I know about, and I can learn about some new ones as well. So
likewise.
What about you? What about you, Rachel, as well? Where can people find you?
I float around on the internet in various hats. Again, usually search my name and I turn up anywhere from YouTube to Facebook to Twitter.
Also, what's a great name for a Christian? Redeemed is your real surname.
It's my real surname. I have the default to prove it.
It's not just a sort of Christian pen name. That's amazing. So yeah,
I'm honoured to carry it. At Rachel Redeemed probably will find me. Come and say hello. It would be joy to get to know who's listening in.
Yeah, and if you're listening or watching, thanks for joining us. It's great to have you along for the ride.
Cheers. Goodbye.
Thanks for watching. Please like and share this video and subscribe to the Imaginative Discipleship YouTube channel. Ta-ra!